They were once the rebels of the drum corps world, outsiders who refused to play by the rules. The Boston Crusaders drum and bugle corps began with nothing but determination, a handful of instruments, and a fire that would compete against the nation's best. Before the story continue, please subscribe, like, and comment. FOT more videos. Thank you. From their gritty beginnings in the streets of Boston to the world-class performances that brought entire stadiums to their feet, the Crusaders have lived a story of rivalry, reinvention, and resilience. But behind the flags, brass, and percussion, there's also a history filled with controversy, internal struggles, and moments when it all almost fell apart. The story begins in 1940. When a group of young men from Boston's most precious blood parish decided they wanted something more than just parades and small-town events. At the time, most drum and bugle corps were tied to churches, veterans groups, or local youth programs. They had strict uniforms, stricter rules, and even stricter idea of what music should be. The Boston boys didn't exactly fit in. They wanted bigger, louder, more aggressive shows. They wanted to push boundaries with daring drill moves and music that wasn't proper by the old guard standards. By the 1950s, the group, now known as the Boston Crusaders, had built a reputation. Talented, fearless, and a little wild. They weren't afraid to challenge the judges, the other corps, or even their own staff. This rebellious streak would become their signature and their curse. In the 1960s, the Boston Crusaders were known nationwide as the bad boys of the drum corps world. They arrived at competitions in buses that looked like they'd been held together with duct tape. But when they hit the field, the crowd erupted. They weren't always the cleanest in terms of technical precision, but their power, passion, and showmanship made them fan favorites. Unfortunately, their rebellious spirit sometimes put them at odds with judges and officials. One infamous story from the mid-60s still circulates among drum corps veterans. After a controversial loss at a major competition, Crusaders members allegedly marched right up to the judges' table and voiced their dissatisfaction loudly. That boldness earned them both respect and scorn, cementing their place as a corps you could never ignore. The 70s and 80s were brutal for many corps, and the Crusaders were no exception. Financial troubles, shifting leadership, and the growing cost of travel and equipment nearly destroyed the group. At times, they barely had enough members to field a full competitive corps. In 1972, they became a founding member of Drum Corps International, DCI, a move that gave them national exposure, but also put them head-to-head with powerhouse corps like the Blue Devils, Santa Clara Vanguard, and Madison Scouts. Competing at that level wasn't just about talent. It required money, organization, and consistency, all of which were hard to come by for Boston in those years. But the Crusaders refused to quit. Even when they couldn't afford new uniforms, they'd patch up the old ones. Even when buses broke down en route to competitions, they'd hitch rides, borrow instruments, and still show up on the field. That determination kept them alive when many other corps faded into history. By the early 1990s, a new generation of leaders decided the Crusaders needed to evolve or risk becoming irrelevant. They focused on recruiting talented young musicians, hiring top-tier designers, and building a stronger infrastructure. This period saw the corps slowly climb in the DCI rankings, moving from a scrappy underdog to a legitimate finalist contender. The shows became more sophisticated, blending the corps' raw power with refined drill design and complex musical arrangements. Fans who remember the wild, rebellious Crusaders of old noticed something different. The group was maturing, but that didn't mean they'd lost their edge. Their performances still carried that signature Boston intensity, just with sharper execution. The turning point came in the late 90s and early 2000s, when the Boston Crusaders solidified themselves as a top 12 finalists at DCI championships. In 1999, they shocked the drum corps community with a 5th place finish, proof that Boston was no longer just the underdog. They followed it up with innovative and emotional productions, from haunting ballads to aggressive, high-energy finales that left fans on their feet. But success brought new challenges. With higher expectations came greater financial strain, more pressure on members, and the constant need to outdo the previous year's show. In drum corps, the competition never sleeps. In the 2010s, Boston made bold moves, hiring some of the most respected designers and staff in the activity. This investment paid off in 2017, when the Corps jumped from 12th place in 2016 to an astonishing 6th place finish, one of the biggest competitive leaps in DCI history. Fans and critics alike were stunned. The Crusaders had transformed from perennial underdogs to a legitimate contender for championship. Their modern productions became known for cinematic storytelling, jaw-dropping visual effects, and emotionally charged music. The 2018 and 2019 seasons solidified their place among DCI's elite with top 6 finishes and shows that people still talk about today. And yet, the Boston Crusaders never forgot their roots. Beneath the polish and professionalism, that old rebellious spirit still burns, reminding everyone that this is a corps built on grit, passion, and a refusal to back down. Today, the Boston Crusaders are more than just a drum corps. They're a symbol of survival and an activity where many fade away. They've endured poverty, ridicule, competitive heartbreak, and near collapse, and come out stronger every time. For the members who wear the Boston BAC logo, it's not just about winning trophies. It's about carrying on a tradition that says, no matter the odds, we march on. From a ragtag group of Boston kids in the 1940s to one of the most respected names in modern drum corps, their journey proves that resilience can be just as powerful as talent. Sometimes the rebels win,